Hello and welcome to today's edition of Political Voice. I am Sonto Ajama. There is a lot happening in the political space in Nigeria, but we have two stories that we're tracking today. First, we'll discuss the latest development from the Labour Party, and we'll also look into the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, dismissing the People's Democratic Party's request to redeploy the Resident Electoral Commissioner, REC, in Edo State, Anugum Onoha, ahead of the September 21 governorship election. But of course, to dissect these subjects is our guest in studio, Mr. Dele Fanimo, a seasoned broadcaster, social critic, and political analyst. Good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening.
Also, we have Dr. Hassan Sadiq, virtually a security expert and political analyst. Good evening, Dr. Hassan. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. But before we get right into the stories, let's take a global overview of happenings around the world. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump was safe yesterday after the Secret Service foiled what the FBI called an apparent assassination attempt while he was golfing on his course in West Palm Beach, Florida. Law enforcement officials said that several Secret Service agents fired on the gunman in the bushes near the property line of the golf course after he was spotted a few hundred yards from where Trump was playing. The suspect left an AK-47 style assault rifle and other items at the scene and fled in a vehicle and was later arrested. The apparent attempt on Trump's life came just 2 months after he was shot at a campaign rally in Pennsylvania, sustaining a minor injury to his right ear. Both incidents highlight the challenges of keeping presidential candidates safe in a hotly contested and polarized campaign with just over 7 weeks to go before the November 5th election. In Senegal, President Bassirou Diomaye has dissolved the country's executive and the opposition-controlled parliament stemming from the mounting tensions between both bodies. This move was seen as fulfilling the wishes of the president's supporters, but has elicited a heated argument and debates among Senegalese citizens. Opinions among the citizenry have argued that it's not only legal, but necessary given the current political landscape. It stated that the dissolution of parliament is a good decision, considering the assembly no longer aligns with the president's ambitions. However, the opposition views the action as a political maneuver. They've also raised concerns about how quickly elections are being organized, questioning the legality of bypassing the controversial sponsorship law. Meanwhile, as the country prepares for legislative elections on November 17th, the stakes are high. The opposition hopes to force a power-sharing arrangement, but analysts suggest they face significant challenges. With both sides gearing up for what promises to be a fierce electoral contest, uncertainty looms over the political future of Senegal. We're now going to a short break, and when we return, we'll get right into today's topics of discussion. Stay with us. Welcome back to Political Voice. Support groups affiliated with the Obidient movement and the Labour Party have endorsed the appointment of Senator Nenadi Usman as the new caretaker national chairman of the party. In a joint statement issued by Eze Morrison Onyemaechi and Dr. Danjuma Saleh, the groups highlighted Senator Usman's significant impact in both Kaduna State and nationally. They praised her contributions as a member of the Presidential Campaign Council during the 2023 election. The groups acknowledged Senator Usman's steadfast support through various means, including distributing souvenirs such as wrappers, banners, face caps, and T-shirts, along with financial contributions. These efforts, they said, were crucial in energizing both the support groups and the Obidient movement across the country. The statement concluded by urging all members, supporters, and party leaders to unite in backing the National Caretaker Committee under Senator Usman's leadership. Now, this is pertinent given the current situation at the moment, in that Senator Nenadi Usman is the chair of the caretaker committee at the moment, which has been given 180 days, which is already counting, to reinstate new leadership for the Labour Party. But let's talk about the support of the support and endorsement of the Labour Party and the Obidient movement. Now, I'll direct this one to you, Mr. Fanmo. The Obidient movement, one can conclude in some way that they would, by all indications, support Senator Nenadi's caretaker committee. But being that the Labour Party is on, well, one can say that given recent events, the Labour Party is split on whether supporters of Abure and the ones who are supporting Nenadi Usman's caretaker committee at the moment. So given that the Labour Party is also supporting this movement, what can one deduce from the support and movement to Senator Nenadi's caretaker committee executive at the moment?
Abure had been thrown under the bus since over a week ago, when that meeting was held in Abia State, the home of the only governor produced by the Labour Party. So whoever understands political calculations would and still want to survive in the next election, in the next political dispensation, will not want to follow Abure. Because it's like a fly that refuses to hit warnings and want to go into the grave with the corpse. So, as far as I'm concerned, Abure is gone and gone for good. And because he's gone and gone for good, the moment Senator Nenadi Usman became the caretaker committee chairman, the 29-member committee chairman, of course, ordinarily with the kind of support she garnered and the presence of who is who in that party at that meeting, whether it was conveyed by the governor or the governor gave support to it, the fact still remains that the body language of the governor, the presidential candidate, and all those who matter in that party was tilting towards supporting Nenadi. That's one. The second one is that they've had Abure, Arabambi, Apapa, they've had their troubles. And it is time for them to put all these troubles behind them and then face the future. You might think that 2027 is far away from here, but I can tell you that it's not. And they say in political parlance that 24 hours is too long a day in politics. So while you are putting your house in order, you're also monitoring your opponents, particularly the sitting government. What cards are they playing? Where are the aces? At what point are they going to throw the aces? And you also have to begin to build on your aces too, to counter whatever they are doing. So it's the choice of the party. Senator Usman is the choice of the party for now, and for good reasons. They want somebody who can midwife a stronger, united political party that would bring in the expected change come 2027. And that's the only way to go. Already they have their own partisan support for whoever is going to emerge as the national chairman of the party within the 180 days given to Nenadi Usman. So that's what they are working at. I would advise, maybe for the opt-in time, that Nenadi should continue her job and Abure should just lie quietly in a corner and see how the politics of 2007 begins to play out.
Well, unfortunately, that's not the case. Lying down and just watching things play out is not the case. at the moment because Abure, according to new reports, has filed a lawsuit to INEC from granting recognition to this newly installed Nenadi-led caretaker committee. So I'll come to you, Dr. Hassan, on this one. In what ways can this caretaker committee be a threat to Abure's leadership? And of course, where does this lawsuit play a role?
Yeah, the lawsuit will play a very vital role because the tensions of Abure. Remember that Abure had been having issues with Labour Party over the time, where the NLC at the time also tried to wade in before this committee now set up and said, okay, the Nadi should now be the caretaker committee for now. So you could see that that group that has been having a lingering in between the Abure factions and the other factions. So now Abure will definitely go back to court to still make sure he retains his positions if he won at the court, which means he's going to destabilize the party to a large extent. So, but the only thing is that if the Nenadi committee and the faction can be able to make sure out this other people, that is the only way that it can go. But at the end of the day, if the court now give judgment in the favor of Abure factions or Abure, you could see that at that time the Nadi committee has nothing to do because they have to respect the rule of law, which is the court at that time. So this is where in most cases we keep on saying that political parties should make sure they have principle and demonstrate internal democracy that to avert a lot of crises and all that, so that the crisis will not be able to pull the party down the ladder. So because now that they've went to court, if at the end of the day Abure now get judgment in their favor, so the committee that was set up by the party bringing Nenadi to be the caretaker committee for now is going to make them useless because they cannot be in the face of the public, now not adhere to the rule of law, especially if it's court injunctions at that time. Because if they do that, it has its own consequences on the general public, looking at them that, look, this party are a party who does not respect the rule of law. So what are they saying in regards to issue of national interest and all that? So you could see that going to court at this time is going to have a lot of dent to the party, except if at the end of the day they were able to follow the structure before forming that committee, that they are adherent to their own constitutions. Because I remember after that committee was sitting in, when they have that meeting in Abia State, where they now declare the Nadi should now be the caretaker committee for now, someone went to a particular media platform and said the Nadi is not even a member of the party, that in the ward where she belongs to, it was not registered there. You could see already that there's already have an issue they are taking to court, that the person you are bringing as caretaker committee is not a member of the party by the voters register they have from his ward and the state. So this is where Abure now went to court is going to play a lot of major role at the end of the day, if the Labour Party itself could not be able to get a judgment in their own favor.
Thank you, Dr. Hassan. But Mr. Fanimo, help us understand something. Now, the Labour Party and the Obidient movement are supporting Nenadi's caretaker committee and the 29 members that are part of it. But the Labour Party is also in court to, well, in the words of Obidient, for the National Publicity Secretary of the party, he says the party is in court, but it's not directly targeted at the caretaker committee because, quote and unquote, we do not recognize it at all. Rather, they're in court to get INEC to respect the party and its leadership following the outcome of the March 27 convention. I'm sure you recall that particular convention. So if the Labour Party, on one hand, in one breath, is supporting Nenadi's committee, but on the other hand, they're in court to confer legitimacy on the National Working Committee from March 27. Where do we reconcile this?
The point is, on what pedestal is Abure standing? Abure's tenure ceased on June 10th this year. And there can't be a vacuum. Nature abhors vacuum. And so, to that extent, he doesn't have a pedestal on which he could stand. Besides, Labour Party cannot exist in a vacuum. If members of your caretaker committee, National Working Committee, if some of them are supporting this committee, this CTC, caretaker committee, and you are standing and insisting that they must give way, you don't recognize them. The question is, even if the court makes pronouncement that you are still the national chairman of the party, and the party says they don't want to, can you stand? You can't. You know? So, rather than go to court to challenge the caretaker committee or even declare that they are, as far as he's concerned, they are not in existence, I think he should be considering political solution to some of these problems. Because beyond being the party chairman, beyond today, you still have a long way to go as a party, as a political party, a strong one for that matter, with a very strong candidate. And so it will be in the best interest of Abure to withdraw that suit, because you may win a battle, but sometimes you may not win the war. That is what is playing out now. So for me, I would advise that you just bury the hatchet and then let the party progress, because it's not going to work for him to stand alone and begin to challenge the authority of the party. Yes, the court may have his way and declare him as the substantive chairman, even when he has lost that seat on June 10. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, the party will still prevail based on the numerical strength of those who are supporting Nenadi Usman. The law is made for man and not man for the law.
I like that you said that, because what Obidient Ifo is saying is that they're in court to get INEC to recognize the legitimacy of Abure's National Working Committee. National Working Committee. But now that Nenadi is the National Caretaker Committee's chairman, how big is the support of the, now of course you've said political bigwigs are already behind the Senator Usman's leadership of the committee, but how big of a challenge does Abure's lawsuit pose for this time that Senator Nenadi Usman is currently in interim leadership at the moment, for this committee at least? That one's for you, Dr. Hassan.
You know, when we are analyzing this kind of a platform, we are looking at the national interest. But when you now narrow it, you could see that these people are not looking at that. They are looking at their personal interest. Abure is looking at it to continue to make sure he's the chairman, pending whether conventions or whatever. The only way sometimes the party get away with it is that if their constitution specify that as at the expirations of the chairman, caretaker National Working Committee chairman, that the party or the board of trustees can decide to appoint a caretaker chairman to steer the affairs of the party. So if also the constitution said if convention has not been taking place, the chairman should cease to continue pending when there will be a convention to appoint the new NWC. So the matter has been possible to look at issue of the party constitutions, the workability and all that before he now went to court. And you should also understand that in the party, each group has supporter. yes, Obi movement are supporting Peter Obi, which is quite understandable. But that is quite different from the constitutions of the party, where the Abure factions are now looking at. That is why I said one of the NWC member has came to say that Nadi is not a member of the party. How can they appoint her as the chairman caretaker committee? So these are the problems. So we cannot just wish it away. Do you understand now? So we have to look at it holistically. That okay, what ground does this one have? That's why I said, assuming now the court now in favor of Abure, what will happen? So you have to also put this one into place, and the court will use certain parameter to deliver their own judgment. And today you are having a lot of court injunctions versus these. All these are also there. So these are the things that we really have to look at completely. But in most cases, I always say that one way you can get this out is that first of all, bring in Abure. They should have a closed door discussions with Peter Obi, the board of trustee, discussing why he should step down synonymously, so that at the end of the day, they don't have all this rancor and everything. So this is where we cannot just wish it away at this current time. And Labour Party is one party who wants to show that they abide by the rule of the court, so that the public can really take them very serious, unlike the other party who has no respect for rule of law. So these are things we really need to look at it. So we cannot just wish away. Yes, the court might give in a favor. It does not have the support of an entire party, but definitely there are particular part of the party that is in support of his actions.
Dr. Hassan, but does the fact that people are supporting him, or some people, if you please, are supporting him, does that not get in the way of the eventual, if the goal is to get rid of him, for lack of a better expression, the fact that he already has supporters behind him, doesn't that counter the fact that it will be possible eventually, or doesn't that counter the effectiveness of the need to get him out of the way?
Supporter within the party, how would you get him away quickly? Because the supporter is supporting him, that what he's doing is right. They will not give up, because the party has divided into subgroup. You have Obidient who are supporting Obi, so there are other people group are there who are supporting Abure. So these are the people who are now behind him, because all the NWC are being removed, and the party has now constituted a new caretaker committee pending when they now have conventions. So, but if you look at it, that's why they will have to go in him.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Hassan. Finally, Mr. Fanimo, will the result of the lawsuits contradict the caretaker committee and the eventual leadership coming out of the caretaker committee that Nenadi Usman is in charge of?
You see, unfortunately, I don't have the letters of the Constitution of the Labour Party, to the extent that we can now say Abure and his group has enough grounds to file the suit and hoping that he will win the election. But you see, I am looking at events after the election, after the court suit. Even if Abure wins in the court, can the court unilaterally impose Abure on an unwilling party? That's what I'm saying. What that means is there will be a kind of standstill in that party. And that party, other political parties will not wait for them to resolve their crisis. Mm-hmm. All other parties are moving on. So it will be a bad sign for Labour Party to have that kind of judicial crisis in its hand while others are coasting home. Because we need to resolve some of these things. Automatically, once the law says this is the faction we recognize and that INEC should recognize Abure, and nobody is behind Abure that wants to pick tickets through him, they are relying on the convention that will produce another set of leadership for the party. Automatically, you will be surprised that LP may not have candidates at the end of the day.
Because no one wants to go through Abure.
So,
all right, thank you very much, Mr. Fanimo. Because of time, let's quickly move on to our second subject. Still talking about INEC has rejected the People's Democratic Party's request to redeploy Anubum Onuoha, the resident electoral commissioner, REC, for Edo State ahead of the September 21st governorship election. Now, concerns were raised about Onuoha's connections with Nyesom Wike, Minister of the FCT, which led Governor Godwin Obaseki and the PDP to question the REC's impartiality towards the All Progressives Congress, APC. Edo State PDP Chairman Anthony Aziegbemi formally protested to the INEC Chairman Mahmoud Yakubu, highlighting Onuoha's close familial ties with Wike. Despite these concerns, INEC's Chief Press Secretary Rotimi Oyekomi confirmed that Onuoha would remain in his position. Oyekomi emphasized that the integrity of the election will be upheld, through the voting process, not influenced by the REC. He assured that results from the polling units will be declared by presiding officers in the presence of party agents and stakeholders, and subsequently uploaded to the INEC result viewing portal to ensure that things are correct and in place. Now, Dr. Hassan, I'll come to you for this one. The PDP has raised concerns about Anubum's ties to Nyesom Wike, since he's allegedly his cousin, and his bias towards the APC. Are these concerns valid as they pertain to the neutrality of the upcoming Edo elections, particularly vis-a-vis the response of the PDP to these allegations, or to these concerns, if you please?
Allegations, and it calls for concern. You are aware the role Wike played in 2023 presidential elections, which makes him to have a close tie with the APC. Also, you are also aware the role Wike played Obaseki's second tenure when he was in APC and now decamped to PDP, whereby APC did not give him ticket as at that time, and why later him and Obaseki they now fall apart. Now that you are having the Wike cousin coming to be the INEC in Edo State, definitely it is called for worrisome. But if we have looked at it that, look, we should not just look at issue of worrisome. Why it's bordering on integrity? Why can't the INEC now bring someone else to be there? Because even at the law court, a judge can sometimes excuse himself not to take part in such cases because of a relationship. There's no way you bring such person who is a wicked relationship. Now you can see from the two angles. First, he and Obaseki are no longer in good terms. Two, you can see the wicked alliance with APC. And now we are bringing someone to come and be the electoral officer of Edo State elections. Definitely, already there will be bias, without not even saying it. So it is on this ground that the PDP are now raising alarm earlier that, look, Mahmoud should be able to remove this person and bring someone else. In fact, thirdly, INEC integrity today is unquestionable. You know, everybody knows this one, because there's no way INEC will now tell you election will be announced from the collation center or from the polling unit. Nobody will now take that as a serious, based on what has happened with the issue of transmissions and all that. So there's nothing today INEC can now come and tell Nigerians, and Nigeria will believe. That is why people will now tell you, you have to defend your vote where you are. Even if you are defending your vote at the polling station, at the end of the day, by the time they do the collations, how is it going to be possible that you make sure that the vote of each particular party is going to be counted? So it called for what is up. And I will advise that if the APC or the government of Tinubu want to play a very fair play in this manner, such man should be changed. Mahmoud should be able to remove and replace it, so that from there everybody can now say, oh, they are playing fields, there's a level playing ground for this election that they are going into. Because already PDP is having a lot of issue internally in Edo State. Shaibu is there. We also making sure to make sure the PDP will not win the election. The same thing, Wike is fighting Obaseki, and also APC is also there. So definitely, already to me, with the way we are going now, then PDP has lost this election.
Thank you very much for saying that, Dr. Hassan. Mr. Fanimo, I'm sure you've heard everything Dr. Hassan has said, and it begs the same question, which of course I'm sure you must have thought of. Why is Mahmoud Yakubu deciding not to remove this Onoha in question? Is this because he doesn't think that this is as important as a subject as it pertains to the integrity of the election and the neutrality of the election? Does it get in the way at all? Because why is this not a request that he heeded?
For me, I don't see any difficulty in replacing Onoha in this election. Don't forget that, just like Doctor said, PDP Edo has a lot of issues. The erstwhile deputy governor that was removed and reinstated is still there and is considered as enemy within in the party. Two, you remember last week when Abdulsalam and his team went to Edo to sign peace accord, PDP refused. So automatically, what that tells you is that PDP feels is already going into that election as an underdog. And they are already sounding the red herring even before the election. It's like you know that you are going to likely lose an election and you want to garner sympathy, public sympathy, voters' sympathy, that look, I'm being hemmed on all edges to make sure that I'm stifled so that I won't be able to win this election. If you have a situation like this and INEC wants to uphold integrity of that election, the outcome of that election, then if they are raising their voice over that Onoha, INEC has not come out to say it's a lie, that the REC does not have any affinity with Wike. And the man himself has not come out to say, I don't have anything to do with Wike. And more so, Wike is also, by proxy,
yes,
a party to this election. He wants APC to win at all costs, given the fact that they are falling apart with Obaseki over some issues around Edo State. And don't forget that Oshomole is also there for APC. And you find out that even all the campaigns, you find Oshomole leading the campaign. Even the candidate is not doing the campaign as much as Oshomole is doing. So, for me, if INEC wants to let us believe that the outcome of this election is a reflection of the voters' decision to either vote in PDP or vote in APC, then Mahmoud, the INEC chairman, needs to act fast. It doesn't cost him anything to replace. Already the structures are on ground. Voting materials, sensitive materials are already deployed. And so it's just a matter of bringing another REC from another place to midwife this election so that the integrity of that election and the name of INEC will not be smeared in the process of conducting this election and the outcome of the election. I see, like, if you go to a court, the first thing they will ask you as an accused person is that, do you want this judge to try you? No matter how brilliant, no matter how good the judge is, if you say no, you would have to be moved to another court because that's where you feel you can get justice. And in this case, APC, PDP, they are saying, PDP is saying that it's like the 12th player on the field. The INEC REC is like a 12th player on the field against PDP. And so, for you to have 11 players on the opposing side, remove this REC, and then put somebody that will be seen as a referee and not a player on one side of the field.
You know, I'm just going to take a cue from that and just ask you this directly, Dr. Hassan. Do you think that Anubum Onoha in that space as a rec, particularly as it pertains to the Edo State upcoming election, is a threat to the free and fair election that the Edo State people are expecting from INEC?
It's a threat. It's a glaring threat. Let us go back to Memory Lane. Remember, Jega was the chairman of TED Fund when Wike was Minister of State Education during Goodluck Jonathan. This is the connections, first of all. Remember the role Wike has played during the Obaseki second tenure. What happened after the elections? Obaseki and Wike are no longer in good time. Now Obaseki is bringing someone. Now also, remember the relationship within Wike and APC currently. Wike is like 70% APC and 30% PDP. So that is why I said it's not just a threat, it's a red flag that Onoha, which is the IRF in that place there, in fact, is going to play the card of Wike. There's no doubt about it. So the only saving grace now the PDP can have, it is the people of Edo State, who will now see, and possible if they sympathize with the candidate, with the PDP, and making sure whoever they do decide to vote for, that is the person that will win the elections. And the only way to do that is for Edo people to make sure they defend their votes to latter. Otherwise, there's no way of winning these elections currently, because it is what I'm able to enumerate here. And you can now see it clearly, because Shaibu is there, who is making sure PDP must lose to APC. Not even Oshomole. Wike is there. And the IRF we are talking about now is a Wike cousin. Mahmoud was a chairman of TED Fund when Wike was the Minister of Education. This is where the relationship is coming from. So, and being the kind of person Wike is trying to exert his political power within the Southeast today.
Okay.
So, by all this, we should know that, yes, PDP today is in disarray. So, that is why I said...
So does this... He says the IRF is responsible for transparency. Can one still be ensured of transparency despite these recent events?
You see, in economics, they say all things being equal. We might expect all things to be equal on election day. But any little deviation from the norm, the normal process, would be referred back to this problem that we're talking about. And the only way INEC can extricate itself from this backlash is for INEC to replace the REC before that election holds. Anything, if if IRF refuses to work well, they will say it was deliberate, even when it's a technical issue. If materials get to certain areas late, it will be said that it was because the REC man in Edo, because of
his relationship with Wike,
the dictates of external factors outside of Edo, that is why the materials came late. If there's any violence anywhere, they say INEC orchestrated this violence. So the odds are stacked against INEC from now on, not even after the election. So if they say a stitch in time saves 9, why don't we just have a replacement of this INEC REC before the day of the election, so that we can have peace, so that whoever loses the election will go home and begin to plan for another day. And whoever would have won the election would know how to jubilate in magnanimity.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Fanimo. I'll take that as your final thoughts on this one. I'll come to you, Dr. Hassan. Final thoughts, please.
If I were INEC, I'll guarantee remove the man in question, simply because if APC won the election now, the PDP will say it that, look, it is the work of the hand of these people that make them to lose these elections. At that time, whether INEC did very well, nobody will be able to believe them because it is glaring. Just as my friend there said, in judiciary, in the court, they will ask you if you want this judge to hear your case or not. If you said no, no matter how the judge is brilliant, they will change him or her. So I think for justice and fairness, because sometimes speculations is stronger than reality. It is better for INEC to maintain certain integrity and their name to change the man right now. So that at the end of the day, if APC won the elections, they will not now say it is the INEC that caused it. So for them to save their name and instill some level of integrity, it is better for INEC to change.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hassan, and thank you for your thoughts as well for joining us this evening.
Thank you very much for having me.
And thank you, Mr. Dele Fanimo, for joining us as well.
Always my pleasure.
And that is all we can take on Political Voice today. Political Voice will make a return tomorrow. I am Somto Ajama. Good evening.